What is up? Welcome inside Black and Gold, everyone. Steve Geller and Jeff Nowak coming to you after a 44-13 loss in Seattle. We not saying who that right now. We're saying who is that after the Saints looked pitiful in that game against the Seahawks. Jeff, I know you got back late Sunday, I guess Monday morning, early Monday morning, I should say. How you acclimated yet to New Orleans? Have you gotten readjusted?
Yeah, something about those 4-hour flights. I just feel a lot longer after that type of game. Although it is nice, I got all my work done on the plane, so I got home in enough time to work on. It's like UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you
ugly.
Because that's what the Saints are, man. They're ugly. They're brutal. And you know it is funny, and we talked about this. Like, we're gonna do our stock up, stock down segment. You know, like you said, stock down Kellen Moore. And it's like, here's the thing. And I'll start with this, and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
I think there is a little bit of hypocrisy going on with all the media folks who came out prior to the season and said, like, this is a 2, 3, 4 win team. And then they go out to Seattle and look very much like a 3-4 win team at best. And now it's like, I can't believe this happened. Like, what? You were all sitting here telling me how bad this team was, and now they're bad, and we're all surprised. Like, that's the thing. But here's my thing. You can't make sweeping declarations on a team in this week. You can next week. Because if that team does not go home and fix whatever is ailing them and go out to Buffalo and look like a competitive football team, then it's like, man, this is not what I signed up for. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I feel like the biggest thing in Jeff is why people are more pissed off today, or disgruntled, disheartened, disheveled, beaten down, because there were glimpses, there were little nuggets of hope in the first two games, and then immediately you got smacked in the jaw and were knocked out in the first quarter in Seattle.
Well, right. Like, this is what people expected. Right, like this is the team that when you look around the country and everyone's like, this team sucks. Like, that's the performance people expected.
Those were the Saints, right there.
They were pleasantly surprised the first 2 weeks, and that's where you are. But yeah, it's there's no sugarcoating it, as Bobby would say. Like, it's a bad game in every phase. Like, I think that's what made it so ugly, is that there was quite literally no redeeming quality from that game. Like, there's nothing you can look at and say, well, at least this went well. Nothing went well.
No.
Literally. Like, I can't think of a single thing other than maybe Jack Stoll being like, I caught a touchdown. Yay. Like, that's what that game was. It was a travesty. And here's the thing. Those games will happen when you're bad. What you can't do is make that every time you go into a negative environment, every time you go into a difficult environment, you look like that. Right? Because if that's what happens, then your head coach isn't going to last very long. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, gut check time for Kellen Moore. You got to do it now, because like, that just cannot be how your team plays if you want to be taken seriously as a head coach. But all right, this is the cold open. So we're going to, I can't help myself. We're going to talk about a lot in this first segment. We're going to hear from Deuce McAllister, Bobby Aber, just go over our thoughts from the game. Just kind of, was it really as bad as it looked? Spoiler, yes, it was really as bad as it looked. You know, the second segment, we're going to do our stock down, which is going to be the majority of this show, is the stock down. Then the third segment, we're going to do stock up. If you're wondering how the hell I found any stock up items from that game, you'd be right, because I couldn't. Like, you'll understand when we get to that point. Like, it's not
usually
exactly
go long. This week's stock up will help us trim that down.
I mean, like, I take pride in trying to find some silver linings, even in the worst games. Like, I really do try. And this was virtually impossible. And you'll understand when we get there, but man, like, I get it. I'm not going to try to sell you anything after this game other than hopefully this is a wake-up call. Because I think what happened in the first 2 weeks is the team was like, we're right there. We're competitive. Like, we're doing things the right way. And then it just all kind of came to a head in one really just disgustingly ugly game. And, you know, I say this a lot, like no team is as good as they look on their best day or as bad as they look on their worst day. Well, all I can say is I hope that was the Saints' worst day, right?
Yeah.
Because if it gets worse than that, yikes.
No, like you alluded to it in the beginning there, the fact that what made me mad about it too is the fact that, yeah, Sunday Saints in Seattle looked like the team the national media was basically selling us. And I was like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, you can say like bulletin board material, like we're gonna show them until you just show them exactly what they told you were, and that's what you got. But all right, let's take a quick break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna break more down about the game. We're gonna hear from Bobby Hebert, Deuce McAllister. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. This is Inside Black and Gold. We're reacting to Saints 13. All those field goals, man, they add up. Seahawks 44 should have been a lot more. Drew Lock played the entire fourth quarter. Anyway, there's a lot to break down. But all right, Inside Black and Gold. Who dat? Stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Didn't make you wait too long. And we're breaking down Seahawks 44, Saints 13, a 31-point game. And it's like you hear a lot like this. The game wasn't as close as the score made it look. That's true. And also, the game wasn't as close as every stat made it look. If you look at every stat other than points, the Saints were competitive. First down, the Saints had 21, the Seahawks had 22. Third down, the Saints were 5 for 15. The Seahawks were 3 of 9. So both teams were 33%. Saints had 284 total yards. Seahawks had 320. Rushing yards, Saints had 79. Seahawks had 87. Passing, 205 to 233. Even penalties, 11 for 77, 8 for 70. Turnovers, even, 1 and 1. Time of possession. The Saints won time of possession by almost 5 minutes, and that actually got churned down. Like the Seahawks held the ball for the final 4 minutes of that game. So like the Saints were dominating the time of possession in that game. Like it's just when certain things go a certain way, the stat book completely goes out the window. The Seahawks had 8 rushing yards at halftime. And this game was never in doubt. Like I don't know if I've ever seen a game over in the first 6 minutes before, but that's what you had.
It was disgusting to watch. And like you mentioned, you got into this and barely get into things, and you're wondering at the end of the first quarter, you're like, crap, we still got 3 more quarters to go here. You already got roughed up, beat up so much and just tossed around and chewed up and spit out, whatever you want to say. The saddest part was you hear a lot from like Bobby and from Deuce saying they just didn't look ready for this matchup.
This is this is Kellen Moore talking about, okay, what's the messaging coming out of that game?
Yeah, I think that's what it's about. It's a test of adversity. It's how you respond. You have to narrow your focus, look at the items that are good, and certainly recognize those. But again, we did not do enough to start the game to put ourselves in a really good position to be competitive there. And so, there's no one's going to feel bad for you. No one's going to come save you or anything. We got to put in a bunch of work, and we got to get better right now and put ourselves in a better position moving forward.
Yeah, so to Kellen's credit, he didn't try to sell you a bill of goods, being like there was positives, like he came out and been like we stunk, but it's still I still question, can he be that stern disciplinarian head coach that I think you need in these moments? We'll see. I don't think you necessarily had to be that after weeks 1 and 2. Like, obviously there were mistakes, but you were competitive. It came down to the wire. Like, this is the type of game that's like, Brian Brzee, you buck up, man. What the hell? Like, you set the tone for that game, and it was not a good tone.
Yeah.
There was too many mistakes by veteran players in that game. And I consider Brian, like, you're in year 3, you're a veteran at this point. But what are your kind of early takeaways on Kellen Moore as a head coach? Like, how do you feel this has gone for him?
This week definitely put, I'm sure we'll get into it more with the stock down. Even for me, you brought this team out early on the sole purpose of getting acclimated to Seattle is 2-hour time difference with practice times. And you go into Sunday and look like you had just showed up an hour before and guys are still sleeping, getting off the plane and on the field. The call for fast starts have been just consistent, and that's something in the first few games that's happened with them. And that, to me, I mean, it's on coach, along with the penalties, a lot of stupid penalties. I know we'll hear from Bobby also calling this a stupid team. I think that's a little harsh, but when you make bonehead plays, that's going to happen. Like I said, I don't know exactly I don't think he's anyway lost this team or they don't respect him kind of deal, but you need to see and feel a more animated, angry coach right now, because I think there's somewhat lacking of accountability with guys.
Well, we'll see, right? Like that's what it's tough to say right now, because I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. I can't tell you how he is in those environments, but you know, like when you hear from Sean Payton, you're like, I don't have any question whether he can go behind closed doors and you know, hold people accountable and maybe even to a fault at times. Like you kind of need that personality at points, because it's like you can, it's kind of the difference. Like you can be a president, you can be a wartime president. Like now there's two different types of things, right? Like you need different personality traits for those two different situations. And, you know, I just don't know whether Kellen has it. Now we'll see, right? Like we'll see. Just the vibes you get from Kellen, I just have a hard time imagining him going and like yelling at somebody. You know, it's similar to Pete Carmichael in that way. Like I always wondered whether Pete Carmichael could, you saw repeated issues with Pete Carmichael's offense. And it was like, okay, is he actually going in there and when people are screwing up and being like, hey, get over here? You know, I don't know. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. Maybe I'm overreacting to that, but we'll see. This is Deuce. So you mentioned talking about, okay, that was the ugly start and how he felt about it.
In the special teams, you can't give up 14 points like you did. And then even the first touchdown, it was after you had gotten off the field on third down. And it was kind of a play where you get a after the play penalty. That was Brian Brzee. And the next play, they go and score. And so you're down 21. But, I mean, for your team to be sloppy, kind of not ready to play as they were, it was surprising. I mean, and that's just honest. That was surprising that this team was not ready to play in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. And here's the thing: like you were like, we're gonna go out early, we're gonna get ready, we're gonna be there, we're gonna
for what?
Yeah, I mean, it almost seemed like that hurt you. You know, like all this team bonding stuff is cute and fun until everything goes the way it did in that game. And again, I think it is. We can overreact to that one game. It is one game, right? And if that's the aberration, then you say like, well, we found some issues and we fixed them and we're back on the progressing track, right? Because here's the thing, like if it is that can be the difference. Like weeks 1 and 2, you felt like, okay, this is a team that's competitive. They need to keep taking steps forward. And if they do that, then you're progressing. And then this happens and suddenly the bottom falls out and it's all bad. But like, that's not, like that's only the case if it's a trend. Like you look around the NFL, there's a lot of bad football being played yesterday. The Saints were not alone. Like one of the funny things going through social media this morning was I kept happening upon tweets, like viral tweets that were like, this is a disgrace, fire this guy, it's terrible. And I was like, oh, and I was like, this is about the Saints. It's like, oh, it's not about the Saints. It's about like the Bengals, or it's about the Falcons, or there was another team that really laid an egg, and I can't. It's escaping me right now. The Cardinals. It also lost the Mac Jones 49ers, right? Like, and Mac Jones is dealing with a PCL sprain. They still couldn't win. Like you talk about embarrassing. Like I don't think the Saints got embarrassed worse than the Falcons, who got shut out by the Panthers, right? So like, there's a lot of bad football that gets played on a week-to-week basis. You don't want to be the team that plays it, but it's really more about how do you respond to that in terms of what you are as a team. Like if you go out again, I mean, and here's the thing, what makes it feel so bleak for the Saints right now is, it's not like this happened in week 4 and suddenly you get to come home and face the Giants, an 0-3, 0-4 team, right? This happened in week 3 and you have to go face the Bills. and you're a 16.5-point underdog, and suddenly this happens again. Then you come home and then you're getting booed by your home fans. Like if you don't beat the Giants, then it's like, man, you're talking about, are we an 0-17 team? Like, are they going to go winless? Like that's where you are. And that's why you needed to win one of those first 2 games, because now it's all negativity, despite feeling like you played reasonably well the first 2 weeks. And that's gone. Like all the positive vibes in that locker room, all the positive sentiment around a quarterback that's playing a little better than you might have expected, an offense that's doing enough, a defense that just needs to get better. Like it's all gone. And now it's just nothing but, man, is this the worst team in the NFL?
Right.
And here's actually, I'm sorry, talk.
No, I was going to say, I feel like after this game, a lot like after last year, that Monday nighter in Green Bay, but I expected them to get trounced in this one. I didn't think the Saints would necessarily win here, but being over in the first quarter was not, I don't think anybody on the old bingo card going into this matchup, and just seeing what occurred with the special teams unit was definitely jaw-dropping, along with Brian Brzee and a dumb penalty.
Yeah, I haven't really brought up the special teams yet because that's going to factor in heavily to this Doc Down segment.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go in on it here and then go on it again. And it has to be talked about in this Doc Down segment. There's no way to avoid it. So like we'll get into it.
Right.
But no, I will say that having been on the sideline for both games, this game was not as bad as Green Bay. Green Bay was brutal because it was not only that you were going to lose and you got shut out. Like I was like, they're not going to score. They're not even going to get close to scoring. They didn't even attempt a field goal in that game. Like, at least in this game, Kellen was like, let's get on the board. And like you got down the field several times. Like you could have scored if the defense did its job, if special teams did its job. There's a scenario where you did enough on offense to keep this game competitive, right? Like it's the special teams blunders and issues, the defense not being able to cover anybody. That's what made it feel impossible to win. Like, I don't think the offense was the biggest issue, because what ended up happening in the game was you got down 21-28 and suddenly they're just like, yeah, throw everything underneath. Like, we're not letting you do anything over the top. Like, and it's tough to operate that way. It's tough to do anything but dink and dunk down the field. But even against the Packers, like you couldn't dink and dunk. Like there was nothing happening for you.
You also didn't have any, like, who were your receivers in that game?
Plus it was 20 degrees out there. So that didn't make it feel any better. And it was Christmas Eve on national television. Like that was worse. That was objectively worse. But I don't know what we're talking. We're talking about like.
No, for me, just the Seattle one was just because I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was.
Yeah, your expectations were higher.
I thought Green Bay was going to be a massacre.
Yeah, your expectations were higher, and they were dashed more strongly.
Very quick.
But either way, like we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic here. Like it's a disaster, regardless of how bad. Let's listen to Bobby, because Bobby had some strong takes on the game. Let's listen to both of them. We got two. It's just him talking about, okay, this was embarrassing. And
it's the NFL, pros versus pros. It's not a mismatch in college. Man, you can't get wax. Like we got wax. No, it's embarrassing. I mean, you can't sugarcoat this. I mean, Deuce McAllister had made a statement. I think it was sometime during the game. And Deuce said a couple of times, or a few times, it seems like we want to fight after the play and not during the play. No, the play's over. You can't get a stupid-ass personal foul penalty. No, it's over. I'm like, you got to have some kind of discipline, Kellen Moore. I don't know if you got to chew them out, fine them, whatever. You got to get their attention. But no, we worried about fighting after the play instead of fighting between the whistles.
Yeah, right. I agree. It's like you got it. Like some accountability has to be the buzzword of this week. Because what can't happen is the type of game you just had goes unaddressed. And it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. But like if you don't get a better performance next week, then whatever, all of it's just words.
You go back and, the timeline of events. We're Marvel fans. We watch all kinds of stuff with the different, things that branch off. But that moment with Brzee just felt like it changed the entire flow of what happened the rest of the game for the Saints.
Yeah, because if you get off the field there, suddenly you got put in a bad position on defense, right? Like the offense failed on 4th down, they get turned the ball over at midfield, and you come back and in a tough situation, like you should have gotten a sack and maybe forcing a punt. Instead, they're kicking a field goal, but you still held them to a field goal, right? Despite them starting that drive at midfield. Well, instead, it's a touchdown. And then the vibes are just terrible. And you turn what was a pretty subdued crowd. Like they were not into the game. Like they were loud, like as in terms of every fan base is loud in the first quarter of a game, but it wasn't by any stretch deafening. Like
right.
You could operate, but then you give them that opening touchdown. Suddenly the fans are engaged. You give them that punt return. Suddenly the fans are at a 10, right? Then you block a punt. Suddenly it's like deafening. And it's like, yeah, that's, you talk about, oh, well, the Seahawks had struggled at home. That fan base was not happy. Like they've watched that team lose like 7 of the last 8 home games. And then the whole thing was like, we got to get up fast. We got to take the fans out of the game. Well, you did the exact opposite. And it was by no one's fault but your own for stupid stuff. Like, I don't know. The funny thing is you kicked a 61-yard punt and you couldn't cover it. So, yeah, but.
And just the constant of being behind the sticks, 2nd and 15,
the penalties, yeah.
Penalties is just ridiculous, dude. And I know they're tied with the Titans now for most in the NFL.
31.
Right.
31 accepted penalties.
31.
Yeah, and I think that's 35 total when you add in the decline penalties. But like not all penalties are the same. Like the Brazil one was the biggest issue. You ended up with 2 false starts on Calvin Banks, a left tackle in his first NFL road environment. Like you can accept that and say like it's just a rookie struggle. And it's why you don't want to go with a rookie, like because they make mistakes. Torricelli Simpkins had a rough penalty. Well, Awesome Richards had a tough penalty. Like these are the guys where it's like, well, they're not supposed to be out there, or at least the 2 backups. Like Calvin is supposed to be out there, but again, you don't want to go with a rookie left tackle for reasons like that. And so like that is what it is. But yeah, that's why you're behind the sticks, and then you punt, and then you can't cover the punt, or you get it blocked. Bobby did have one more, and it was particularly mean, so I didn't want to play it.
Same song and dance. Are we the most undisciplined team right now in the NFL? I would say yes. Oh, we got a new coach. Well, so what? So what if you had a new coach? It's still, you could have the false starts, whatever, judgment calls, but then you can't have stupid penalties. We're a stupid team. We are undisciplined. I mean, now we got 31 penalties in 3 games. That's horrible. It's not winning football. I'm not saying we're the worst team right now, but we're in the bottom 4.
I got to tell you, Jeff, for the away games, me and Bobby watching in the sports office there at the studio, one of the more disheartening Cajun cannons I've been around in a while about what he was witnessing. Even like the third quarter, it was just, he put his notebook down. He's like, Steve, I'm not taking any more notes. I'm going to smoke a cigar. He was like done with watching what we were seeing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'd love to know, like, I wish there was a way to find out, like, how many TVs got turned off and at what point in the game they got turned off. Like, because I can't imagine a lot of people watch the fourth quarter. Like, I can imagine
many watch the second.
That's true. I wonder how big of a swath of the fan base doesn't realize that Tyler Shuck made his debut in that game. Because, like, who's watching that till the end? You'd have to be a real dedicated fan or masochist or working to watch that game until the end.
Or all 3.
Even the Seahawks fans were gone by the end of the game. They were like, I'll beat the traffic. I don't need to stick around for this. Especially once Kellen Moore started kicking field goals down 30. It was like, well, there's not even a chance we blow this. If they're not even going to, like, that was that just rubs me the wrong way. Right.
Yeah.
Like at a certain, like, just pity points. Is that what you're after? Pity points? Because they're not points that are going to, like, after the game, he was like, we would have had to play perfect to get back into the game. And I'm like, yeah, but that perfect entails scoring at every opportunity and scoring 6 at every opportunity. 3 does nothing for you. So you are conceding the game in the second quarter. That's what you're doing. When you kick on 4th and short or on 4th and goal at the 5, down 30 plus points, you're conceding the game in the second quarter. just to get some positivity. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's weak. And that is one of the, there's been 2 or 3 situations already in 3 games where I'm like, this is just weak coaching. This is soft coaching. Like, you're coaching desperately. Like, well, we got to get some points here. We're down 35. Let's cut it to 32 before that. No, man, no.
Kellen goes up there. Hey, we didn't get shut out like the Falcons.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. And I'll give it to the players. Like, they didn't quit. Like, that's anytime, I tweeted before halftime, like, this game's over. It's as over gets. The second half is about who wants to keep their jobs.
Right.
And I will give the players credit. They didn't quit. Like, that's what you look for in a game like that in the second half when you're down by that many points, is like, who's out there and has given up? Who's out there loafing? Who's out there saying, like, take my job because I clearly don't want it? I mean, I'll go back and watch the tape, but I didn't see any of that. Like,
more with the coaching aspect, and maybe I'm just being angry fan mode here. But it was, I forget at what point, but I was like, why is Alvin Kamara still in this game getting touches?
Yeah, that was a little strange. They did kind of pull him at the end. I think at a certain point, you got to run the offense. Like, you got sets that involve, like, you got personnel packages that you're calling that he's in, and it's tough to just change those on the fly and say, actually, Kendra, you're running these plays now. And so I think to an extent that's it. But yeah, I mean, by the end of the game, like, it was all backups. It almost looked like a preseason game in there.
Right. That was another thing. KG Cannon said, he was like, this is like a scrimmage right now. This is a joint workout.
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I saw an NFL team pull its starter with that much time left. Its starting quarterback with that much time left. Because, like, most coaches would be like, I don't want to set any records for the biggest comeback allowed, right? Because what you don't want to do is pull a guy and then have to put him back in, right? So you're not pulling a quarterback if you're like 90% sure you won the game. You're pulling a quarterback if you are 99.9% sure this game is over. And for that to be the case with like 14 minutes left in the game.
Drew Lock.
Yeah. The legend, Drew Lock, back where he was drafted, I think. I want to say he started with the Seahawks.
Right.
He had that crazy game against the Eagles that they won a few years ago that we came in for Geno, I think, and finished it out.
He was a pretty high pick. I think they believed he was going to replace Russ.
2nd round pick, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the Tyler Shuck of that draft.
Cool.
Yep. But all right. That's all I got for that segment. We'll come back with the stock down. You got anything else you just want to throw out there before we do the stock down, stock up?
No, let's get into stock up, stock down, because I know the stock down element is going to be a lot longer than stock up. You should go stock up first and get that out the way.
No. Can't do it. Because the stock down has a lot of, or stock up has a lot of stock down elements to it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, let's just get it out of the way. Let's do the bad stuff.
Unleash the negative.
Unleash hell. Anyway,
we saw hell.
Go Saints. This is Inside Black and Gold. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We will be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak alongside Steve Geller, and we are talking about the stock down players in the 44-13 debacle that was the Saints Week 3 matchup with the Seahawks. And Steve,
yeah,
When I say special teams, what comes to mind?
A unit that just got sliced through yesterday from the return game, and then just even on a kick. The way everything happened too was like bam, 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 and next thing you knew, the Saints were down 21. It was the craziest start to a game, I think, or the worst start to a game I've ever seen for this squad. I can't recall of another one worse.
Yeah.
And I know that's being a prisoner of this game, but it just felt like I don't think I've ever seen a start like this.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, for years, for like a decade, the Saints have been kind of the standard bearer of we invest in special teams because we understand the value of special teams. We aren't just bypassing that because it's not sexy. Like, we're investing in it. And this year you didn't do that. This year you cut your special teams ace and team captain and JT Gray, and like we're gonna go with young players,
Although
and
he is injured right now. He's still not playing.
yeah, but it's not really about that. It's about like the mentality behind it. And I just don't and here's the thing, like, you at the time it was like, man, are they investing too much? Like, is this actually worth the amount of emphasis they put on it? And I think yesterday it showed you exactly why. Like, when it is a close game, or you are undermanned on the talent front and you need to go win a football game, special teams can be what swings the game for you. It can also be what swings the game against you when you're in a situation like you were yesterday. And again, like the offense wasn't good, but it also wasn't terrible. Like, you weren't turning the ball. Like, Spencer Rattler did have a turnover, but it's funny. I saw the Seahawks post that highlight and be like, this is a bad play by the defense, guys. He intercepted that ball and cost y'all 15 yards, but he got the stat. But like, because it was 4th down, Spencer just had to check something up, and like, I'd prefer he do that than just protect his own stats. So like, in that sense, the offense wasn't the biggest issue. But like, how do you stay in touch? It's by not allowing a 95-yard punt return touchdown, the longest in what, I don't know, I can't even remember, forever.
The longest in Seattle history. We broke records.
Well, the longest since, I don't know if they've ever, I don't know. Yeah, the Saints have a habit of setting some very negative records.
Right.
But that wasn't even just that. They got the punt blocked on the next possession. The special teams was a big part of the reason. 76% of the reason, or 66% of the reason, that's how math works, that the Seahawks average starting field position after their first 3 drives was the Saints 37-yard line.
Ouch.
And that didn't even include the punt return, because that doesn't count as a drive.
Right.
The first drive started at the Saints 47. I'm sorry, the Seahawks 47. The second drive started at the Saints 11, and the third drive, which was their 4th scoring drive, started, I can't recall exactly where it started, but there was a 60-yard kickoff return. We forget about that. Like, as if the punt return touchdown wasn't bad enough, as if the blocked punt wasn't bad enough, as if a missed 52-yard kick wasn't bad enough, Blake Grupe's 3rd miss in 3 weeks. You also allowed a 60-yard kick return. 60. You also did nothing on kick. You had a lot of kick returns to deal with yourself, didn't you? You returned a lot of kicks in that game. They kicked it to Kendre Miller every single goddamn time. Clearly, they saw something they liked, because they had no interest in doing anything but kicking it directly to Kendre Miller, which is interesting because I thought he had actually been pretty good in the return game, but
yeah,
clearly felt like they had him scouted and like, we got this.
I'll give the Cannon credit. That was one of the things he actually brought up pregame. He's like, Seattle special teams unit was one to watch as an X factor, if you would say, for them.
They were good. And the Saints were atrocious.
Right.
So Rashid Shaheed did have a kick return or a punt return for 40 yards. So there was one positive moment on special teams.
Right. One of the few highlights of the entire game.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
But no, like, that's like the scenario where you win that game is you play good enough on defense, you play good enough on offense, and special teams is at worst a stalemate. And maybe you stay in touch on the scoreboard, and I don't know. Sam Darnold would make some mistakes, whatever. But when the special teams broke down, it became impossible. If you were not winning that game once special teams surrendered, arguably 21 points, because you had the punt return, you had the blocked punt, and you had the 60-yard kick return. Like those directly led to 3 touchdowns. You can put one of those touchdowns on the offense and defense when they failed on 4th down and then had the penalty, like the first touchdown. The next 3, I put directly on special teams. And you just can't win games when you are surrendering 21 points effectively through special teams. So, you look at, and here's the thing. I was talking to Newell this morning, and he was like, I thought the special teams actually played pretty well. And I was like, I disagree. I mean, I'm sorry. I take that back. He said, he thought the special teams had played pretty well through the first 2 weeks. And it's like, yes and no, because you saw some issues through the first 2 weeks too. Like you had one situation where you punted from the 41-yard line and you kicked it into the end zone by 6 yards, right? You've missed short field goals each of the first 2 weeks. You had a kickoff short of the landing zone. Like there are a lot of things that didn't go right. They just weren't as massively detrimental as what happened in this game. But if I'm Phil Gatley, like this is what Kellen Moore said when he was asked, are you considering personnel changes right now? And I think like the only real personnel change you have to look at this point is like special teams just has not been good enough. And maybe you're coming off Darren Rizzi, and who I thought was a spectacular special teams coach, and there's going to be some regression, but not like this.
No, our job's to get better right now, and just get better and put ourselves in a really good position to be successful. And so we're not there yet. We're 0 for 3 so far. Doesn't feel good for anyone, but we got opportunities ahead of ourselves, and we got a group of guys that need to look forward, and they will look forward and get better this week and go for it next week.
Do you think that challenging environment here played out?
Yeah, and so like I don't think this team's going to be making any rash decisions, but if you're not better in that part of the game, you're not winning. You're just not.
I think things weren't awful. You mentioned, obviously, the biggest thing that stood out with negative special teams is definitely, unfortunately, Groupie's misses now 3 consecutive weeks. But the fact the coverage was just so bad. And then that coupled with the block together, I was like, I don't know how any team can recover from that. I don't care who you are. You could be a world beater, a juggernaut in the league. But if you give up 2 back-to-back special teams faux pas like that, it's awful.
The annoying thing is Velus was down there. Velus Jones was down there. He's just, he's a running back, wide receiver, so he's not. That's one of the issues of having a running back, wide receiver type player on special teams is that they're not tacklers. Like that's just not what they've done. So they're not going to take good angles, and it's why I would always err towards safeties, linebackers, cornerbacks. You have a running back, wide receiver as your gunner, and he played that very much like a running back / wide receiver. And I almost feel like there's been a lot of times where he's gotten down there and they just fair catch it, and I almost felt like he thought that Torrey Horton was going to fair catch that, but I mean it was kicked so far that he's going to field that. And they just had nothing. And so I don't know. And part of that's on Kroger. Like I don't think they intended for him to kick it 61 yards. It's tough to say like bad punt. You kicked it 61 yards, but like the term outkicked your coverage exists for a reason. And that's what it was. But yeah, it's the Groupie. It's funny because like if all Groupie did was miss the 52-yarder, we'd be like, fine. It's a 50+ yard kick. You can justify a 50-yard miss. The issue is the misses that built into that, and now it's a miss in 3 consecutive games. Right. But he did at least hit the kicks inside that. So hopefully he can build some confidence off that. But yeah,
it's one of those where you hear the coaches, frothing at the mouth sometimes after games saying, we just lost in all phases of the games, offense, defense, special teams. It really was a complete team failure this game.
Yeah, like that's kind of a cliche you hear, like we got beaten out
right.
phases, but like that's genuinely what happened in this game. Like every phase of the game, you got beaten. So let's like the other phase that I was really, really disappointed in was just coverage. Like you watch the Saints play on offense and everything seems like pulling teeth. You get 3-4 yards. Like Chris Olave has 10 catches for 57 yards. You're driving a Lamborghini like a Prius. Rashid Shaheed has 4 catches for 42 yards. Your long reception of the game was Juwan Johnson for 24 yards. Like, there's no chunk plays. There's no downfield passing. And again, like we said, when you're down by 28, the defense isn't going to give you anything over the top. They're just going to play deep you should have catch and run opportunities. You don't got that, right? Everything is 4 yards and down on the ground, taking a hit. And then you look on the other side and you got receivers running by themselves constantly. Like, there was one play that, it was way too easy for Jackson Smith and Jigba to just get isolated on the goal line against Jonas Sanker for a touchdown. Like, how does that happen? The one play I felt like you had it covered. You had 3 guys running with JSN down the field, and Sam Darnold just drops it in a bucket like they're not even there. So even when you got guys in position, they're not making plays. There's too many times that I see Pete Werner having to drop 15 yards into coverage trying to, that can't be his zone. Like, it's infuriating to watch guys standing by themselves repeatedly. And then on the other side, it's like never happens. So,
or when you do get an opportunity, I just don't know with that miss with Kamara, why he slowed down and turned around instead of kept running.
That was weird. I didn't really understand that either.
And then
he just misread
the ball.
Yeah, I think he just misread where the ball. I think he probably thought he was going to go back shoulder, and then Spencer disagreed. And I think that's a chemistry miss, right? Like, you never really had a chance because both guys were thinking 2 different things. There was another play that before that should have been a completion, but Spencer, like, we'll talk about Spencer. I think he was okay, not great, not terrible, but like, he continues to have these throws that it's just like, why are you throwing a 99-mile-an-hour fastball to a guy 5 feet away from you, dude? Like,
need touch.
That's just not the throw you make, and he just can't seem to get that touch. And it's like, yeah, Juwan Johnson, yeah, maybe you should make that catch, but it's like, that's a tough catch for anyone to make when you turn around and suddenly you have a ball, you have a 99-mile fastball coming directly at your face. Like, when it doesn't have to be that way, like, just fucking get it to him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse there. It's just so frustrating because you see it every week. And it's like that's like the one area that I have not seen growth in from Spencer. Like, I've seen a lot of growth, but like those just little touch passes right outside the formation, just get him the ball, make it easy on him.
Yeah. There was a play too I can recall. I think third quarter, he had Cooks in the seam and ended up just doing a little dump off to Kamara.
Yeah, I don't remember that one offhand. There was a lot of offense in that game that I just completely glazed over because it meant nothing.
No, that first quarter was so rough. Like I said, we're hanging out in the sports office watching things, and first quarter ends, and Abear just looking at me goes, "Oh, that wasn't the fourth," as a joke. But it's like, man, what? We still got 3 quarters of this crap.
Yeah, it was over. It was over. Especially once Kellen decided to start kicking field goals instead of going on 4th down. Like, 4th and 2. Let's kick it. No, stop. You're down 30 points. You're down 30 points. Stop kicking field goals. You're down 30 points.
But then when you go for the unstoppable tush push, you can't even do that.
Are the Saints the only team that gets called for penalties on that play?
Yes.
I mean, God, what the hell, man? And after the game, he's like, "We've spent a lot of time working on that play. Have you?"
What? Right. I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear we need to work more on that play. We've spent a lot of our time practicing this play that we've run twice and been penalized both times. Stop working on it.
Man. Move on.
Run regular sneaks. I don't know, man. God damn it. God damn it. And then you see the Eagles getting away with false starts. And it's like, I thought, like, when the NFL said we're going to start officiating this more closely, they just meant for all the other 31 teams. Eagles are still going to get away with the same old shit.
The Chiefs had their untouchable aura sucked from them, and somehow now Philly's got it.
The Chiefs had at least won yesterday because they got the fortune of playing the Giants and Russell Wilson, which the Saints will get eventually.
Maybe we'll get Jackson Dart versus Tyler Shuck.
That's a good question, and that's not what I want to talk about today.
No, I know. We're not ready for that yet.
But it's not that Spencer is playing badly enough that you're like, we got to make a change. It's just like,
we need something.
You lose enough games that you got to do something. and it wouldn't even be fair to Spencer for that to happen. But it's like the vibes have to shift somewhere.
Nobody's going to argue from the fan base, even your Rattler supporters, going, no, leave the winless guy in.
Well, right, and it's like at a certain point, you just need to create some positivity.
Yeah,
and I think you'd like to hold off as long as possible, just in case you do not create positivity and it goes poorly, and you end up like you want to get to a point where if he plays from like to a benchable level, you can just ride it out to the end of the season.
I'm still more favorable to Shuck after the bye week, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's where I think if you're the Saints, you want it to be.
Makes the most sense, at least for the progression of things. And yeah, I don't know if the gameplay or what we're seeing gets so bad that you're like, you need some kind of shakeup. So the sacrificial lamb will be Spencer, and we'll throw Shuck in early, but that might not be the best for Shuck's development.
No, and I think what you want to avoid is putting him in a like. I'm hopeful that here's the thing. Like I talked to Trevor Penning after the game. You know, he was available. When I asked him, I was like, were you just an emergency guy? And he was basically like, yeah, shit would have had to go down for me to get in the game. I was like, that's what I figured. And it was just funny that he put it that way. He was like, I wasn't getting there unless it went real. And it's like, shit did go down.
Where were you?
He meant from an injury perspective. Like,
I get it. Right,
to have guys get hurt. Because I think even Xavier Truss would have been ahead of him in that rotation just because like they didn't want to play him, but they needed the body just in case. Like you only had one backup guard.
Yeah.
So if like both Simpkins and Ruiz go down and suddenly it's like, we just need someone to play. He was there, but they didn't want to play him. But he is hopeful that he can get back next week. This week went well for him from a health perspective. He had limited practice. His foot responded well. So you hope you can get him back. Hopefully that helps. Right. Next week, Fuaga, like I don't think his injury is one that you're going to look at and be like, it's a long-term thing. It's just, I think they needed to give him a week off. They should have done it last week. They didn't. And it exacerbated his knee and his back. And so you gave him a week off. Hopefully he's back and you get your 5 starters in the lineup for the first time this season. And that helps you, right? Like, so hopefully that's the case and hopefully that helps you. But I don't know, like, this has been a really all over the place stock down segment. There's a lot
all over the place that's down.
Just to hit on the penalties, right? Like, continue to do these penalties. So let's go through the list again, like we did in week 1.
Okay.
Brian Brzee, unnecessary roughness. That's a negative 15. That's 15 yards, automatic first down. You got off the field on 3rd down, and that ruined it. Touchdown next play. Torrey Simpkins, false start, 5 yards. Kelvin Banks, false start, 5 yards. Chris Olave, false start, 5 yards. Kelvin Banks, offensive holding, 10 yards. All of those happened in a 6-play span.
Wow.
Yeah. Then Awesome Richards, offensive holding, that was declined. Devon Godshaw roughing the passer, that's 15 yards. Kelvin Banks, another false start, 5 more yards. Chris Olave, illegal shift, declined. That's been driving me nuts. And yeah, there's something to be said for Rattler not, snapping it. It's a timing issue with him and Chris, but like the veteran receiver, that's happening to way too often. And he just has a bad habit of drifting forward. Like he needs to just get set and he's trying to time the snap count and he just kind of drifts and they call it. And for whatever reason, the Saints don't get away with anything. Like these are plays that are very circumstantial. Like some refs are really tight on it. Some are not. You're talking about the difference between like going completely horizontal and maybe drifting 6 inches and they're calling that. And here's the thing. Why does that get called? Because the refs watch tape too, right? The refs go and say, this is something he does. So they're alert for it. It's not just a one-off. It's something that he has a habit of doing. So they're looking for it. And when they see it, they call it, right? It's why you're going to start seeing false starts called on a lot of these tush pushes. Eventually, the Eagles are going to get called for one because the refs are looking for it. And when they're looking for something, they're going to see it. Continue. Fadil Diggs, offside, 5 yards. I think that was on. Oh, no, that wasn't on the PAT. They did get another penalty on a PAT. It's the 2nd week in a row. They got a penalty on a PAT. Nathan Shepard, defensive holding. That's 5 yards. Justin Reed, offside, 5 yards. I don't even care about that one. It was like 4th and 17, and he was trying to block a field goal, so he jumped early. Like he was trying to just time it. Like that's the one penalty from the game. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm happy for you. You tried. Then Xavier Truss, I believe that was the false start on the PAT. 11 penalties,
On the
77 yards.
freaking PAT, Jeff.
He still made it. It's the second week in a row Blake has had to kick 2 versions of the same PAT. Although I think they might have blown this one dead. I don't think he ever actually kicked the first one. But yeah, it's a list. It's quite a list. And like the Saints, I mean, I don't know what their budget is for getting refs out at practice, but they've had them at practice each of the last 2 weeks, and I would imagine they're going to go ahead and do that again. But doesn't seem to be working. So maybe get rid of them.
Yeah, at this point, you're spending money in the wrong places. I don't know. These refs aren't helping you one bit.
Nope. Although I do feel like they, a lot of it was the atmosphere. A lot of it was the noise, especially when the crowd really got rip roaring, because that's when the false starts started happening. And they were better procedurally in week 2. Like they had a good number of penalties, but they weren't false starts, illegal shifts. They were different penalties. So like I do kind of have different buckets for bonehead penalties versus like pre-snap mistake penalties, because the bonehead penalties are just one person doing something stupid. The procedural penalties are, we just didn't do it right. Right. Like it's something went wrong, whether it was the cadence, whether it was the communication. So like those are the ones that you really look at. Like we got to fix that.
When you mentioned bonehead stuff, was Brzee around post game at all or no?
I didn't see him. I mean, I didn't get into the locker room right away because I try to stay through the head coach press conference.
Yeah, I just haven't seen anything honestly post game from him.
No, I haven't. I didn't hear
just
anything.
Like what were you thinking right then? Why'd you have to go and headbutt the guy?
It's heat of the moment. Like guys, people make mistakes. I don't know if that gets called every time. But yeah, it's just can't do it.
That's getting called.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen. I didn't show it in the stadium, so I haven't actually seen a replay of it. I need to go find it because I don't even know how bad it was, so I can't even speak to it.
All of a sudden it's like, wow, we're in WWE.
And it's frustrating too because like he's like you missed a sack earlier in that drive, so I'm sure he's frustrated and he's been getting to the quarterback and missing a lot. It's like the 3rd or 4th time that's happened. It's really annoying. Because this is a guy who had 7.5 sacks this year, and he should have 2-3 if he just delivered on the times that he was unblocked going to the quarterback, right? And at a certain point, just kind of slow down, go like this, he tries to go like full speed, and like maybe just get to him, maybe be a grizzly bear and just kind of you don't have to blow him up, just get to him, get a paw on him, and pull him down. Instead, I think he's trying to get big hits, and I think that's where you get in trouble as a defensive lineman.
That was like the, with Brzee, you've seen some positives from him on the special teams aspect, but this year on defense hasn't been very bright.
Yeah, no, you haven't. Well, I mean, at least in the pass rush, you haven't seen enough.
No.
The Saints have played reasonably well against the run, so take that for what it is, but that's not what he's here to pressure the quarterback. That's what he does better than anyone.
Will we ever see Chase Young again?
I saw him on the trip. He was there. Does that count?
No, I want to see him play.
Yeah, you're right. I hope so.
It's just one of the things I didn't think was going to just be non-existent was a pass rush.
It's so freaking annoying, man. It's so annoying. I don't even know what to say about it. Like it's just annoying. Like you paid him to be one of your best defensive players. He just hasn't been there. So we'll see.
He's this year's Kendra Miller minus the paycheck kind of thing.
Hopefully this week. Kendra's been healthy, right? Although
I'm just saying he got hurt the first week of camp last week and we never saw him.
I can't decide whether I think Kendra is playing well or not. It's weird. Like sometimes he runs like way too upright and I feel like he's not getting north-south and then sometimes I feel like he's the only one that can do anything. So I don't know. But one other guy, and it's really not, it's weird because it's like, I think Alontae Taylor is playing the star role well in terms of getting to where he needs to be. He's just not making the tackles. like, I don't know. Missed tackles are a tough stat to track because it's
Yeah.
like sometimes it looks like a missed tackle, but the actual statistic disagrees, and it's like, well, it was actually someone else's, whatever. But like, there've been 4 or 5 times where he's in a position to make a play over the last couple of weeks and just hasn't done it. Right? Like Jake Tongas, or no, Luke Murray. No, not Luke Murray. Whoever the tight end was for the 49ers who scored the touchdown last week, Luke Farrell.
Farrell.
Like,
There you go.
it was like he had him just lined up. He slipped a little bit and missed the tackle. There was another one that he had a guy in the backfield, missed the tackle. He ran. It was against the 49ers. I think it was Jawan Jennings. This week, there was 2 or 3 that he had him. It looked like he was in position to make a tackle behind the sticks, and instead he just kind of falls, and the guy gets 2, 3, 4 yards, maybe picks up a first down. Like, it's just happening too much. And it's making me wonder if you'd be better off putting him on the outside. And if you're not ready to play Quincy Riley, maybe you put him on the outside, throw Ugo in the slot and see how that works. Because if he's missing tackles, like, I'd rather see Ugo out there. Because I think he's going to be a better guy on the outside than Ike in terms of a coverage player. And he's in a contract year. Like, I'm not trying to just force him into a position if it's not working. I think you have to consider it because I don't think Ike's played particularly well. I don't think he's a starter. And I don't think Alante is tackled well enough to be in that role. Like, you're asking him to cover big bodies, tight ends, running backs, and he's not making the tackles. So that's kind of my stock down play. And I really like Alante Taylor as a player. I don't know. I feel like he's been put in really bad positions from the start of his career. Like, you keep moving him inside, outside. Every time he feels like he's set at a position, they change it on him. I think he's either an outside cornerback or he's nothing, in my opinion.
You mentioned poor Ike Adam. For me, I feel like he's like drawn the most hatred from the Saints angry mob from this defense so far.
Yeah, he's an easy guy because he's, and I think people want to see him out of there because of the whole comp pick situation. Right. You did get Quincy Riley on the field in this game, so it does seem like they're moving in that direction. I would expect
Quincy could be saved for stock up.
That's true. He did have a play.
That's one positive at least to talk about.
You're right. Fool. I'm a fool. But that's it.
There's not many.
That's all I got. You got anything else?
I bitched about it at the start of our cast. Joking with you about, did you get acclimated? To me, the whole thing, leaving early for Seattle and then you looking like that is just horrid. And really, to me, that's why I put Kellen and stock down just for that sole move alone. Even it's like, I can't believe you schlepped this team out to Seattle early, saying that, you're going to get acclimated to weather, time zones, and be ready for Sunday, and then look like that. It's sad.
I mean, I understand the logic. It just didn't work.
No.
Yeah, and there's been a couple things this season where it's like, oh, if you win in week 2 in those gold jerseys, they're going to want to bring them back all the time. Nope. We might never see those again. If you win, if you look really great going out there early, they might try to get early starts on road trips all year long. Nope. I don't think they're going to do that again. Maybe
I guess
Friday.
Stock down 2 on white helmets, 0-1.
Well, right. That's what's going to be my other one. Like, oh, they got the white helmets. It looks so good. Oh, man, the worst game of the year.
They did look good, but they did not look good on the field.
Like, if they had gone out and won that game, they would have just kept rolling them back out there.
Every week, we're bringing them back.
You can only wear them up to 4 times, alternates up to 4 times. But you would have maxed them out. Now you might not see it again this year. You probably will. You'll see at least one more game.
I will say I like the look aesthetically more than the gold and black combo that they have right now. The white on white looks slick.
It looked good. The combo was good. Like, the gold was rough, but I did think the jersey combination that should have been in the stock up. I should have saved that for the stock up. Too late now. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, that should have been in the column.
But I mean, it's hard though when they didn't win in them and they looked that bad.
Well, they're going to keep bringing this. Like, this, you're going to bring that back. That's like, you may never see the gold jerseys again, but you are going to see these jerseys and these helmets again. But all right, let's wrap up that segment. Come back, talk about some positive things, which aren't that positive, but we're going to do it again. I'm Jeff Nowak. This is Inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller, who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back.
Did you just pull a Chuck Woolery going to break?
What does that mean?
You said we'll be back right after this, and you did like the 2 and 2. He used to say like we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Not intentionally.
Okay. I
I
was
don't
like,
even know who
wow,
that is.
Jeff giving a nod to Chuck Woolery,
I don't even know who is that.
game show host.
Oh yeah.
We'll be back in 2 and 2.
No, it's
The
just what I
newlywed
do.
game.
I think it means peace out, Seacrest.
Okay. No, like I said, oh well. I'll have to send you something on Chuck Woolery now.
No, I like if it hasn't become clear, I am so tired. I don't think people realize how long that maybe people do. That is a long flight, dude. Like because I don't fly direct anywhere. The longest I'm ever on a plane for, if I'm flying, domestically, is 2 hours, 2.5 hours, right? Like this is a 4.5 hour flight from New Orleans to Seattle. And man, especially on the way out, I think we had a headwind because it was a long flight. On the way back, it was like 350.
Okay.
But like that's a long time to sit on a plane to get embarrassed. And
And
the
it's
Seahawks
not the
fans,
most
they let you know
comfortable
it.
atmosphere after a loss.
It's funny. The plane ride home, it's like I don't sit with the players, so I don't know what that's like. But like you wouldn't know the people in the back of the plane, like they're all sleeping. I'm working,
When it's that late, for sure. Like you said, you got in like 1, 2 in the morning, so just not out.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like normal game days, I'm working till like 1, 2 in the morning, so it didn't really change a ton for me. It's just,
Where you were.
I mean, like I'm working on a plane, and then I get off the plane and I post these stories to the internet, and anyway, that's it. But yeah, like I've never flown to Seattle before. It's the first time, so it's like I in my head it was the same as California because it's West Coast, but California is like a solid like 3 hours for us.
Yeah.
That felt like I watched the entirety of the new Mission Impossible movie, which is like a 3-hour movie. I was actually talking to Charles Davis about this, the guy from CBS, the commentator, and it was like I picked the longest movie I could find on the plane, watched the entire thing on the way out, and then I ended, and then like I have time to watch another movie. Like I still got 2 hours left on this flight. What the hell, man?
Yeah, it's definitely the good news is that's your worst road trip, and you don't have to take many of them.
That's a good point. But all right, we're not even doing the podcast right now.
Got sidetracked a little. So what? We're talking stock up, and there's not much here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put off this.
You're stalling, right?
I didn't do that right. I tried to do it. That was better. You got to cover your whole face, Steve. You went like this. There you go. That was more like the John Cena.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
John Cena.
Okay. Speaking of
Get it together.
John Cena over there.
There you go.
And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here alongside Steve Geller. One more segment on this episode, and it's the stock up segment. But as you can probably imagine, after a 44-13 debacle, just travesty of a football game against the Seahawks, there's not a lot of stock up to mention. So I'm going to be sneaky and steal one of my stock ups as a stock down, because my stock up is in all that negativity around the team, all that gloom and doom prognostications, and this is the worst team in the NFL. They might not win a game all year, maybe 2-15, maybe 3-14. The team's like, they just don't know about us. We're going to show them. That's bulletin board material. Well, no, if you go out and play like that, that's just accurate. You're a bad football team. Like, that's not them just whatever. Like, that's them having you pegged, right? And you went out there and played in such a way that all those people who did nothing but trash you all summer, all they're doing is waking up this morning and being like, I told you, right? So my stock up is, man, I guess they were right, because that's how everyone from a national perspective expected the Saints to play.
Right.
You did exactly what they thought you were going to do.
That's what pissed me off most right there, Jeff. Like you just said, it was like, damn you, Saints. You really performed exactly like the national media all expected you to.
Yeah, and again, like they're bad teams. Like, are the Saints the worst team in the NFL? I don't know. Like, the Titans are pretty freaking bad. Like the Giants are pretty bad. Who else is 0-3? Yeah, there's a couple other teams.
Well, like the Cannon says, I don't know if we're the worst, but we're bottom 4.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know if you're worse than those teams, but the Jets are bad. They should have won yesterday still. Like you're in the bottom tier, wherever
right.
you rank in that tier. That's where you are. And when you play like you did in that game, I don't have any argument against that you are the worst team in the NFL, because you sure looked like it. The Seahawks fans probably think you're the worst. Actually, that's not true. Seahawks fans are probably going to convince themselves that you're better than the worst team in the NFL, because they want to convince themselves that they're better. But any neutral party watching that game is just like, this is an NFL team. This isn't like Alabama facing like I don't know, like BYU.
Yeah.
Not BYU.
No,
I meant UAB. I meant UAB. BYU doesn't even make sense. UAB, Alabama, Birmingham. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
I grew up in Jersey, so my boys' group chat this morning was all like, sorry, dude, you have to cover the Saints this season. I'm like, yes, I know. Thank you.
The team is bad when people are like unsolicited apologizing.
Right.
Just for you doing your job. And that happened. The only time that's happened to me was after the Panthers game last year. Yeah. And that was like the low of the low point. And all I can say, and I said this early on, I'm looping, but all I can say is I sure hope that this is the low point. Because if it gets worse than this, yikes.
What was sad is the lowest point that I think that we expected this kind of game, at least score-wise, the special teams forget about, but the score-wise was for the next game in Buffalo.
Right. If this is how it went in Buffalo, you'd be like, that's a Super Bowl favorite. That's the reigning MVP. We didn't expect them to go out there and win that game. Like you eat it and move on. The problem is it happened this week and you're expecting to eat it next week.
Right.
And if you do, then you're going to come home and you're going to get booed. Like, you're going to get booed. You're going to come home and face the Giants, and maybe you win that game. Maybe you start some positivity, but if you don't, if things go poorly, like, you're going to get booed at home.
Very hostile.
And I won't blame a single soul for doing it, because you don't get to put out performances like that and expect your fans to be like, oh, you got it, guys. We believe in you. No, why would you believe in a team that plays that way? Right. And so, again, like, I don't think, hopefully they can at least cover the spread next week. Right.
16 and a half. Yeah.
Because if they can do that, if they can go out there and at least play like a team that has a pulse, like the Dolphins did. The Dolphins are 0-3, but I think you look at how they played the Bills last week and they're like, oh, it could have been worse. So yeah. But
can they score 16 points?
Sorry?
Can they score 16 points?
Well, they don't need to score 16. They just need to score 1 and hope the Bills don't score 17. Actually, 18. because it's 17. No, 17. I was right. No, 18. Sorry, my brain is like working at like half capacity, right?
Jet lag is real, people.
It is. It is real. It is real. All right. So that's my first stock down. I actually have I'm a stock up. That's my first stock up. I actually have a couple that are real stock ups, and one of them is the only guy who made a good play in that game, in my opinion, and it was Jack Stoll.
I'm with you on this one for sure.
Which 2 catches, touchdown. Good job, buddy. And the funny thing about that, I don't know if this came through on TV, but no one in that stadium realized that was a touchdown for like a solid 15, 20 seconds. Because it looked like Spencer was rolling out and it looked like he was just throwing it away. But then all of a sudden, and like you see Jack Stoll back there, and like even if you threw it to him, he's not catching it. And he does. He made a nice catch. It was
goes
a nice
up,
grab.
gets it, and then comes down with the feet in great position.
Right. It was a good NFL catch. Like that's a difficult catch for anybody to make. And I'm not saying you should be excited about Jack Stoll, the weapon, but I mean, having him be even like a slightest bit of a threat in the passing game for a blocking tight end, that's a good thing. So like that's the bottom of the barrel for me, but you do have to give him credit for making a play because he did.
Yeah, we didn't save on the radio call. We get all the highlights and review the package afterwards after the game. Unfortunately, didn't save the Shaheed punt return, but Jack Stoll was the only highlight I played in the post-game section of the post-game show. And
if you listen to it, you can understand what I'm saying because Haas had no idea that it was a touchdown for like 15 seconds.
Right.
And it was funny because we have to pick a highlight, and this happens off air, and they're like, well, what highlight are we going to go with? And I was like, I guess we have to go with the touchdown, but it sounds ridiculous because I didn't realize it was a touchdown. Yeah. And it wasn't his fault. Like, I also didn't realize it was a touchdown. Everyone in the stadium was just like, huh? Wait, what? Not that they were paying that close of attention at that point because it wasn't exactly a worthwhile game to watch, but I just thought it was funny. Yeah. But anyway, either way, first career touchdown. It's a big moment for him. Right. You do not have pass catchers at tight end outside of Juwan Johnson. And if he has the ability to be a trusted target, not a primary target, but a guy that you can at least find in those scramble drill situations, that's big because I think one of the areas that the Saints have struggled in, and Spencer talked about this post-game, he was like, we need to work on scramble drills because so many NFL plays end up devolving into scramble drills. And the Saints just don't handle that well. Like, what you don't see the Saints. Like, you watch other games, you watch the Chiefs, and like it feels like 90% of the Chiefs' offense at points is scramble drills. And I just don't think the Saints do it well. And for whatever reason, like they just don't make big plays that way. Occasionally they'll hit them, but those are few and far between. That's why, like, you saw him. Like when he threw it, they're like, he's throwing it away because they always throw it. Like they don't find anyone in those situations, but that time he did. So I felt like the Leo meme, seeing that, pointing at the TV because it was like, oh, I saw that in training camp. I swear I did. Yeah, right. Like I know he can catch. He can catch. Right. Now he only has like 6 catches in his NFL career, but the hands are there. They are not just blocks of ice. Was that his first career NFL TD too, or I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay, first there touchdown. You go. I mean, he only has like 6 catches in his career. Like that was like his 5th and 6th catch. Let's see. I'm gonna look this up because I don't want to shortchange Mr. Way to go, Jack Stoll. But yeah, that for as much doom and gloom and misery there was at least that was a heck of a grab. Good for you, Jack Stoll. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shortchanged him. He had 22 NFL catches coming in for 193 yards. His most were 2022. He had 11 catches for 123 yards, but it was first career touchdown. He caught 2 catches in 2024 with the Eagles, and that's where he worked with Kellen Moore over 7 games. So he's already matched that total in one game or in this game with the Saints. So stock up, Jack Stoll. Jack Stoll, baby. The other one you mentioned, Quincy Riley, yeah, he got in the game. I think it's going to be like, here's the thing. Like one of the reasons that the Saints, I'm okay with them losing games and in the sense that like I predicted them to go 4-13, like I expected them to lose a lot more games than they won. Like that's not. I can't. If I'm going to come out in the preseason and say I expect this team to go 4-13, I can't freak out every time they lose when it's what I expected, right? But part of that has to be you're playing young guys. And to this team's credit, they have done that. They've had opportunities to do it, and they've done it, right? They were trying to play Vernon Broughton. That didn't work out, obviously. He's done for the year. But, Julian Blackmon goes down. They throw Jonas Sanker in there. They're not just going to stick with Terrell Burgess just to get a veteran out there. So that's a good example of that. I think Quincy Riley over the next few weeks is going to get more and more incorporated. And by the end of the season, I expect he will be one of your starting outside cornerbacks. So, like, I'm okay with a lot of losses and a high draft pick as long as you develop young players and you figure out who's here to stay and who needs to be replaced and who's kind of a special team viable starting option or depth option. Like, those are the types of things you have to figure out. So it was good to see him on the field, forced a fumble, which, Saints haven't exactly made a lot of plays on the ball. So it's good to see.
Not really stock up or stock down here, but I'm just curious, the stock, what's Justin Reed's face like right now?
Yeah. Did you see what happened on that play?
Did he get Kool-Aid's cleat to the head?
I don't know whose cleat got in the face, but he definitely caught a cleat to the face.
Yeah, that's why I was like, man, oh man.
He's had some bad luck the last couple games. Like, he's a tough dude. Like, you got to give him credit. Like, he got bent back real nasty in the game against the 49ers. He was out for a play, came back in. That game, it went through it hit hard enough that it actually damaged his helmet. Because when he came out of the injury tent, it took a little while for him to get kind of back into the action because he had to have like the trainers like working on his helmet to like strap it up because it just like, I think the buckle got broken and they had to replace it. So, I mean, he got hit pretty hard. Like, what you say about Justin Reed, and you can criticize whatever, but like, he plays with reckless abandon, right? Like, he throws his body around. That's what you want for a safety. And like, again, like this season, we all knew it was going to be a struggle, right? Like, I feel like I did my best to set the expectations where the expectations should have been. Now, you're expecting they play better than they did in this game.
Right.
But
that's where it is.
But like 0-3 is not a huge surprise to me. That said, like, you need to come out of this season and figure out what's working, what's not, what is here to stay, what needs to be changed. And I actually think the safety tandem with Jonas Sanker and Justin Reed over the next 2 years, 3 years can be a good one. So take that for what it is. I don't think it's perfect right now, but you're developing a young player and like I look at like a Marcus Williams, Malcolm Jenkins situation, right? Like, I think it's a similar kind of tandem to that, where you have a veteran who can kind of lead a young guy. That young guy's more of a hitter than a cover guy, but he's getting better. He's going to develop. So, stock up segment, right? Trying to be positive.
Yeah, and it's like, and there's the end of the stock up segment. I don't know what else you got.
I'll give you one more.
Uh-oh.
And it's a dangerous one because it seems like every week we come out of these games and guys who showed no sign of injury in the game end up having their season end on IR like a day later. So I say this just because I haven't seen that yet. So hopefully I'm not jinxing anything. But you talk about adding insult to injury or injury to insult.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Saints came out of that game any more banged up than they went into it. And you look around the NFL and like it's easier said than done. Because, like Nick Bosa's dealing with an injury. You got all these quarterback injuries, right?
Running
James
back Connor for Arizona done for the year.
Yep. It looked like Najee Harris blew out his Achilles. So like these injuries, they pile up
what's
fast.
What's his name from wide receiver from Dallas?
CeeDee
Lamb's hurt. He didn't even play last game.
Yeah, I saw the O next to his name in the fantasy. I didn't actually
high ankle.
Yeah. So I mean, these injuries pile up fast. So at least you can say like, okay, the guys that were dealing with injuries, you didn't play, so they didn't get more hurt, right? Like Fuaga, I was concerned they were just going to play him all year hurt, not like they needed to give him a week off. They did that, so hopefully he can get right. Chase Young, I don't know, but like So that's a
Maybe.
positive, right? Like when there's a parade of guys going in and out of the injury tent, and you just like, oh my gosh, you know, you had 2 guys check for a concussion on the same play with Kool-Aid and Justin. They both got cleared, so there's at least that.
Yeah, and I mean, please, dear Lord, save our O-line because, you know, we didn't expect a ton with those undrafted guys filling in, and you know, just the mental mistakes or the just not having that time together, it hurts you. And we try to look for any positives with this O-line, you know, bragging about the draft investment there. And I don't know, we just the unit hasn't been cohesive enough for a while now.
Yeah, and you want these veteran guys to stay healthy because I think the season is going to be one where you get to the trade deadline and you're like, hey, all these 3rd round, 4th round picks that we've been trading away, maybe we can get those back.
Man, you talk about the trades. That's something I'm seeing a lot of chitter chatter. People want to bring up names like DeMario Davis, Alvin Kamara, you know, stuff like that. Man, I don't want to see this team without those guys though, but I understand it from trying to get maybe some extra draft capital in for next year.
I don't think they trade Alvin just because I think one of the commitments you made to him when you signed him to that extension was like, we're keeping you. I do think DeMario is a guy you consider moving. And more so, and it's really more about him, right? I think it's
right.
I don't think that you would treat DeMario like a throwaway, like, well, we don't need you. I think it's like, hey, we can move you to a place where you have a chance to go play in the playoffs and maybe go win a ring.
See, I even think that for Alvin. I don't know.
It's really more about if Alvin wants. Like, I think the team is going to do right by those players, and if those players say like, I don't want to do that, then I think that you would you would like one of the things this franchise has done well is not alienate players unless those players force the team's hand.
Yeah.
Right. And they take pride in that. And so I don't think you're just going to trade guys to trade guys. Now, I do think that if I'm DeMario, I do want to go have a chance to win a ring. Same with Cam. I just don't know what Cam's market's going to be.
So you put like DeMario in Buffalo, forget about it.
Well, right. Like, and there's going to be teams with injuries that need the depth. So, and you're going to be like, that's why when people freaked out about the 4th round pick, the Saints traded for the wide receiver who also didn't play. I don't make a huge deal of that because I think there's going to be opportunities for you to add 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round picks at the trade deadline. So we'll see how that goes. If you ever wonder whether your phone is listening to you, like 30 seconds after we were talking about CeeDee Lamb saying, I wonder what his injury is, I got a notification that popped up on my screen saying,
here it is.
CeeDee Lamb has a high ankle sprain. he's unlikely to play on Sunday against the Packers. So
dun dun dun.
You are being monitored.
Gee, phone, what are the Powerball numbers?
I don't think it knows that.
Oh, wish it.
It's not like a prophet. It's a creep. It's spying on you. It's not telling you the future.
I wish it could.
I don't know. That would make me nervous because it would tell me things I don't want to know. Like, I feel like the future is like apocalyptic, and if it's going to happen, I want it to be a surprise.
Man, you just get me those Powerball numbers, and I'll take it from there. Don't you worry about what happens.
Good to know. But all right, you got anything else? Any other positivity before we close this thing out?
Positivity, if you stock up to all the Inside Black and Gold listeners, because I don't know if I'd even be doing it anymore.
There you go.
Seriously, right?
I
love you guys.
I appreciate, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm always amazed, even in the darkest of dark seasons.
Like last year.
I'm going to go out to Buffalo, and there's going to be Saints fans in the stands. A good number. I'm sure of it. And that always impresses me because it takes some serious dedication.
Absolutely.
And they have good seats.
Right.
Like, that's not cheap. Like there was a lot of fans sitting in the front row behind the Saints bench. A lot of Saints fans. Now, that number would probably be higher in a better season, but they're still there. And I always appreciate that because it's like, man, this is miserable for me, and I'm getting paid to be here. It was raining that day. It didn't rain during the game. It actually got hot during the game. It was a weird day out in Seattle, but And I say that, and I know people are like, oh, it always rains in Seattle. They said it hadn't rained for like 30 days.
Yeah, we had their color analyst on before the game and pregame show. He's like, we haven't had rain at whatever you said, however long it's been there.
And that's why I was like, oh, it's raining. Who cares? Like, they're like, oh, no, this is weird. We haven't anyway. But
yeah, the Saints brought the rain. That's for sure.
The Saints went out to LA a couple years ago when they had their first hurricane or tropical storm, I should say. It wasn't a hurricane in like 77 years, something like that. So yeah, we bring it with us.
We're on to Buffalo.
On to Buffalo. Who dat? Go Saints.
Who is that?
Who is that? Who is that? Who is that with the temerity to suggest they might defeat the Saints?
Is that a rap?
E-L-Y. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. That's what I'm going with. All right. Who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all.
2-2.
2-2. All right. Secret mailbag time. Let's do a quick
Secret mailbag.
Let's do a quick one. Let's hear what y'all have been saying. 992 RIS says Seattle is actually, let's do it so I can actually put it on the podcast. And we're back for a special mailbag edition of Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller coming at you, going through some user comments, messages from our last live stream. 992 RIS says, 992 RAS says Seattle is an average team. And I guess that's my question for you, Steve. How good do you think Seattle actually is? Because I don't know. It's tough. I think the Saints just make quarterbacks look a lot better than they are. But like, what were your impressions? I thought they look good, but I just don't know if they're actually that good.
Yeah, I don't know. I had considered them an above average squad just because of that D line. I figure was going to be a problem area. They did have a lot missing from their secondary. But the Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba connection sort of looked pretty darn good. That was one thing too that stood out in the game is the lack of separation Saints were able to get on the defense, and then it just seemed how wide open when they did want to throw that Seattle receivers were there. So overall, for me, Seattle I have as definite contender out in the West, and a team I think could surely be a wild card squad, but I don't think they're definitely in the category of, your world beaters like a Buffalo or a Philly squad.
Yeah, I think they're a divisional round playoff team. That's probably where I'd put them. Like, they're going to make the playoffs as a wild card, and they could win a game.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And that's mainly because I don't believe in Sam Darnold to win in a big day, in a big moment. But they have pieces like JSN's really good. That Torrey Horton kid.
Yeah, he was pretty good too.
Like, he didn't just have the punt return. He also had a really impressive touchdown catch. Now the Saints were covering him, so that helps. But they actually covered him on that play, and he made the catch. So no, I Kenneth Walker. I keep on calling him Kenneth Murray. He's a different guy. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet didn't even play. He's pretty good. Like, I think they have pieces. The offensive line seems to be improved, but again, did the Saints just make it look that way? I think that's what's scary about that game is not that the Saints lost, but the Saints lost to the Seahawks in such a way that you would think they were like the
Bills,
Tom Brady, Randy Moss Patriots, right? And that just is not what they are. They are a good team, not a great team. And the Saints made them look like a Super Bowl favorite in that environment. And man, Like the Seahawks beat the Saints in that game. Like the Saints would beat up on the Panthers in like week 15 back in like 2017, right? Like you would get toward the end of the season and teams that just weren't good would show up and the Saints would be kind of firing on all cylinders and just beating the brakes off them. And that's what it looked like for the Seahawks, but I just don't think the Seahawks are that team. So anyway.
No, you talk about that first quarter, and I was even like, I'm at the station. I'm like, could I just go home and mow my lawn right now?
Yeah, there's more productive things you could be doing than watching the rest of that game.
Yeah.
Dorian Gray, are you the real Dorian Gray? You just don't see an offensive leader on the Saints like you do on other teams who gets in the guys' faces and holds them accountable for their mistakes. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if like are you gonna pull Torricelli Simpkins to the side and be like, listen up, you mother, like I don't know, like this, it's tough. You're asking guys to do more than they should be being asked to do. So like if the errors were being made by veteran players like Chris Olave, someone needs to get in his face and be like, dude, you cannot get called for these illegal shift penalties. Like you and Spencer need to get on the same page here because like those hurt you. And
like, snap out of it, dude.
Yeah, and so like I don't know, like it's fair in the sense that your leaders are on defense, your veteran leaders are on defense, and I think what you're referencing here is less about the offense and more about the fact that you don't have a quarterback that is a team captain, because that's where it's supposed to be coming from. And that's why when we make a big deal about the quarterback's not a captain, that's why it's unusual because it has to be like. Yes, Eric McCoy is going to be the leadership voice in the offensive line group and whatever, the wide receiver room, the tight end room, like everyone has their own individual team group leaders. But the leadership really has to be coming from the top down, from the quarterback position. And it's not to say Spencer isn't a leader. It's just when you have a young player who doesn't feel like he has much, like that long of a leash, how much leadership are you going to get? And like that's where, man, if you have a Drew Brees there and it's like, yeah, he's going to be that guy. Like he's going to say, everyone get around me. I'm going to yell at you for a minute. Everyone's going to listen. And yeah, I guess that is a factor for this team, but I don't think that's why you're losing, if that makes sense.
No, you're just seeing, unfortunately, the issues of talent, especially the depth of talent.
This is a good comment, and I agree with this. Kenneth Trades says, when none of your star players are making an impact, then the scheme and coaching is bad. And I put a lot of this on Brandon Staley, and in this week 3 in a new coaching regime, in a new defense, in a new coaching situation. So like, I don't know how much of it is you just don't have the deck set for what you want to do right now. Because that's when I came into this season, I was like, one of the things you need to be prepared for is switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4 is not just we're going to have that guy do this, we're going to have that guy do this. It's like, no, that's a multi-year kind of reset, and you're going to try to do it in year 1, but you're not going to be able to run it the way you necessarily want to run it until year 2, 3, maybe even 4. Like it takes time.
We look good against our offense.
Yeah, sure. But like you got to draft a certain way, you got to develop players a certain way, you got to bring in certain specific free agents. Like, yeah, I feel like you did pretty well with getting Devon Godchaux. I think he fits. Like Julian Blackmon felt like he fit until he's not there anymore. So I think that's part of it. Like part of it is the scheme is not working for some of the players right now. And it's tough because that's a predictable thing. But I also think you've got to adapt your scheme to fit the players to some extent. And that was supposed to be Brandon Staley's strength. And I don't think to this point it has been. So I agree with this criticism.
Yeah, sadly, just the pass rush element seems to be a huge missing part from Staley's D right now.
Yeah, and
I don't know if you can really blame that all on Young being out.
Yeah, well, I do think you can blame a lot of it on Young being out. And I do think that makes it, when you have a pass rush that's forcing the quarterback to do things he does uncomfortable doing, then you can get away with a lot of the other stuff, right? When you're not pressuring the quarterback, and here's the thing, like the Saints had 8 sacks going into that game, which was like tied for 2nd or 3rd in the NFL. but they had like the 17th highest pressure rate in the NFL. So like they weren't getting to the quarterback. They were just taking advantage of some opportunities when they got there. And keep in mind, like a quarter of those sacks early in the season. So like 2 anomalous sacks, like Kyler Murray running out of bounds a yard behind the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
That's
what I was
a quarter
say.
of your sacks, which weren't even really sacks. So like the sack numbers are misleading. And you're not pressuring quarterbacks at a high enough rate. And again, like when you can pressure the quarterback and make them uncomfortable, you can get away with stuff on the back end. When you're not pressuring the quarterback, the back end has to be perfect. And that's just
Not
asking
happening
too much.
No, yeah, you're not speeding up the QB clock at all. They got way too comfortable.
K-Dog asked, Jeff, did you get a chance to look at the 4th and 2 play in the first quarter where Rattler missed Kamara down the field? Who gets the blame on that play? Yeah, it's a tough one. I haven't looked at the film yet. I did obviously see it live. And I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think Kamara expected Rattler to probably throw it for back shoulder, and Rattler was not planning to throw it back shoulder. And if he think he has a chance to catch that ball, the way he kind of broke back, and I think it's just an example, like I was talking about, of the Saints just don't handle scramble drills very well, right? And that's something that I think they need to work on because it's too big a part of the game to just be like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like I just questions like, why'd you stop running, man?
Well, right. Like I think Kamara thought he was going to throw it back shoulder. And once he did kind of break, I was like, well, crap, the ball's too far. So I don't know. It could be on Kamara. I think it probably is on Kamara, but it's anytime you have a miscommunication like that, it's on both guys.
Right.
Because even if Kamara was wrong and Rattler realized what he was doing, he could have put it where it was, but Rattler's on the run and, you're kind of thrown to a spot. I put more blame on Kellen Moore and the play calling in that situation because you're at 3rd and 2. You're going if you already decided you're going on 4th down there clearly because you didn't pick up an inch on 3rd and 2 and you went on 4th down. Run the ball, right?
Just don't do the tush push.
Well, you're telling me how much you've worked on the goddamn tush push. Why don't you run the tush push?
How about just the regular quarterback sneak?
How about just run the ball? How about just set the tone in the game, right? Ease your quarterback in a negative environment, in a difficult situation. I don't want to put it on my quarterback on the first drive when I am in 3rd and 2, knowing I can go on 4th down. And if I don't get it on 3rd down, then maybe I run out. I don't want to throw it twice. And you put Spencer in a situation where he had to make a touch throw to Juwan Johnson, and not good at that. And Juwan not good at reeling in difficult catches, if you want to call it that. Like I just don't like that play call there. Like I like leaning on like you are on the road, right? You want to take their fans out of the game, extending a drive, running it down their throat, which you'd run the ball well. I don't know. Like I don't like that impulse to be like, we're running it well. Let's roll out. Let's have the quarterback. Like let's put more on the young player that I clearly don't trust right now to do anything outside of very basic offense. So I don't know. This isn't really the question, but I just wanted to see them pound the ball there because I think they could have done it. They could have just picked up a 1st down. Then you get aggressive. Then you're past midfield. You can get aggressive. If you're not taking it, and here's the thing. If you're going to throw it on 3rd and 2, I want to take a shot, right? Like I don't want to just, if I'm throwing it on 3rd and 2, I don't want to throw a 3-yard play. Because they're going to crash. So that's my chance. You're at midfield. That's my chance for a big play over the top to Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave. And you're not doing that. If you're not running that play, then when are you running that shot play? And so like instead you're calling a pass in a situation where you're calling a thrown run to Juwan Johnson. And I just don't like that. And I have a lot of criticism for how Kellen Moore has operated because it just seems so inconsistent with what he's saying, which is like, we want to take our chances when they're there, but like, you're not calling this. You're like, that's when they're there, but you're not calling for those plays. And then you have Chris Olave averaging 5.7 yards a catch. Come on, man. Anyway.
You know that makes the cannon happy. He loves Olave.
I don't believe you. it's I look at Chris and it's like I don't see the opportunities for him to get down the field. Like it's I know like Bobby wants him to just run headfirst into a wall over and over again, but like where is he doing that? He did have one play where he caught a ball short of the sticks and fought for a first down. So it's like he's just not getting the ball in opportunities where he can run.
Sadly Kellen Moore's specialties offense, and we have far from seeing that being a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's operated reasonably well from the perspective of you have a quarterback that not a lot of people had a ton of faith in, and you're not turning the ball over. You're operating well within the parameters that you're giving, but like it's such a low yield offense.
Right. There's no that explosive excitement.
No. Will Hildebrand says the honeymoon's over, Steve, and you got the cat. I believe his name Dexter Morgan. Oh no, I think Dexter Morgan is a different cat. Clyde. It's Clyde Jr. Sorry.
When did the honeymoon start?
That's a good question. 992 RAS says, you can say that, but guess who was at the bottom of the division? He's talking about how I said the Falcons are probably more pissed off than the Saints are right now, or Saints fans are right now. And sure, I mean, I guess if 1 and 2 is what you're hoping for, like the difference is the Falcons have a first-round pick at quarterback. We all knew this season for the Saints was going to be a struggle. I don't think Falcons fans would have come into the season saying, "Oh, we might win 4 games."
Right.
But
the difference was not everyone. A lot of folks were saying the Falcons can challenge the Buccaneers for the NFC South crown.
They got shut out by the Panthers. Shut out. So, I mean, you could say, hey, we won a game. Congratulations. You beat the Vikings, who also sucked. Although the Vikings beat up on the Bengals with Carson Wentz yesterday.
Yeah.
So, call that for what it is. Such a weird season already.
Script writers, man.
For sure. All right, quick break. We're going to come back, finish out this mailbag. Who dat? Go Saints. Stick around. We'll be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. One more quick segment here, going through some user comments, some viewer comments, I should say. Steve Geller, Jeff Nowak, and we got Jan Doe, who says, why not all black Darth Vader? And yeah, like I don't understand why they are so resistant to use to go black helmets with black everything.
Pants and black helmet. Yeah, black helmet, black jersey, black pants. And
it wouldn't even be I don't know how many times they can wear the alternate helmets, but it wouldn't be an alternate jersey.
And then you put a black visor too, you really look deadly.
Yeah, you look a little bit arena leaguey. No, seriously, because there's like it would be very, very one touch color. And I do think you'd want like an alternate black jersey that almost like replicated the color rush with the labels on the arms. Because it would just be weird to be all black, but I don't think it would look bad. It just wouldn't look very Saintsy. But I don't know.
Be worse than tan.
Yeah, it's better than like whatever gray or whatever that was, tan,
gold.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it is gold, but it's like you see the gold on the Dome Patrol lettering up there, like that's the color, and it's just not gold. It doesn't work for the jersey. It works for the lettering because it's offset with the other colors, but that's the color they're trying to do, and it just doesn't work for me because that is kind of like a khaki almost. But anyway, appreciate the comment. St. John Butler says they are who we thought they were, which is correct. That's where I was going with. He also says the elder crowd knows who Chuck Woolery is, so apparently it's just me. And I'm getting old. I'm too old to not know these old guy references. So
I'm sure when you see the clip I sent, you'll be like, "Oh, that's Chuck Woolery."
Chuck Willery. Do you have one of those long mics?
No.
Oh, darn. 992 RAS says, when will Staley realize his zone coverage isn't working and you have to blitz more? Yeah, there's a lot of zone. There's too much zone. It's soft zone, and you're not. I don't think you have the athletes to play that type of coverage and cover the space, because that's like so much of the time you're asking Pete Werner, who's really not a cover linebacker, to sink into space and play like a safety almost. And that's where they're attacking. They're attacking the linebackers in coverage, or the safeties in coverage. And yeah, no, it's you gotta change some things up. But again, I think part of it is the pieces aren't exactly what you want. But you paid Pete Werner last year, so he's under contract. So what are you gonna do?
Jeff, I'm getting ahead of us. The Saints definitely don't do that as a team, but the Giants already saying Brian Daboll that they could be making a quarterback change, which that means they are making a quarterback change.
Russ sucked. There's the sequence late in that game where he's in the red zone, and it was like the worst 4 red zone plays you'll ever see in succession. He had one play that was like he was in the pocket. He didn't have a ton of pressure. He had some pressure, and he threw it so far out of bounds. Like usually you won't see a grounding call on a ball thrown out of the back of the end zone, but he threw it so far out of the back of the end zone that it actually bounced up the Giants' tunnel. And it was like, yeah, he's just throwing that away. And it's like, all you have to do is throw it at the goalpost, and they're not going to call grounding. But he didn't even do that.
The G-Men are home next week, so Dart's first road start would be the Superdome, baby.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well for the Saints. I actually think it will go well for the Saints. But, okay. Will Holderbrand says, stock down my soul.
I'm with you.
It just, like, I used to get excited for Saints games, man. And I still do a little bit. A little bit, but, like, my expectation now is to be disappointed. And that's a bummer, because that's not what sports is supposed to be. Like if I wanted to be disappointed, I could just go watch the Giants.
The sad part of it is, yesterday's game, boo-hoo, oh, you guys work, covering an NFL team. It's terrible. But, for us having to talk about it, like afterwards, I'm like, oh, crap, I got to do a post-game show now till 9 p.m. going over all of this nonsense and try to be at least upbeat and not, so down in the dumps, sounding like I'm bored and don't want to be there. Yeah. It's fun. Winning is fun, and I just miss it.
Yeah, no, it's not about me so much as it's like that's just me kind of reflecting I'm if I feel that way, everyone feels that way. Right. Like, there are people who spend a lot more emotional energy than me, throwing parties and getting into these games and doing tailgates and all that, and like painting their faces and spending a ton of money to go out and see these games in person. And they just you can't give your fans that type of performance and then be like, wow, why are they booing me?
Yeah. No, Houdat's deserved better than that shit yesterday. That's for sure.
Right. Exactly. Like that's just not. And here's the thing, like the coaches, the players, they understand that. That's not lost on them. They don't want to go out there and put that type of performance down. Sometimes just get you, and you just hope that they learn from that. Like that's the thing. If that becomes the norm, then you're going to see a lot of firings at the end of the year. Maybe not the head coach, but position coaches, players getting cut, that sort of thing.
Well, sadly, slow starts seem to be the norm right now, unfortunately.
Well, it's been the norm for years, which is frustrating because it's like you make changes and it's still the same. David P. Justice says, wonder if Moore raised his voice after that game. I can't picture Kellen yelling. I wish he would yell at me once just so I can get an idea. Like, what is it like? What is it like being on the receiving end of a Kellen Moore angry yell tirade if it's ever happened?
In the Saints media group chat, I'll let the guys know, hey, have Kellen yell at Jeff, please.
Requested.
Yes.
I've requested a tirade. One tirade, please. The funniest comment I saw was like Tyrann Matthew spent like 3 weeks practicing with this team and was like, I'm good.
Call it a career, baby.
Yeah, and I'm not. It's not worth it.
Tyrann, we just lost the other safety for an entire year. I'm still good.
Yeah. David P. Justice says our tush push looks more like explosive diarrhea.
Gross and apropos.
You know, here's the thing, though. It doesn't. So Jerry G said, like Pepto-Bismol. It looks just like the Eagles tush push. They're doing the same shit. They just don't get called for it. Why is it only the Saints that gets called for that?
Got to take it out on somebody.
It's so annoying to me. And then the Seahawks did it. And the Saints got called for a penalty on theirs.
Yeah. Unreal.
Which, like, I thought when they called it was like, well, at least they're calling it on both. Nope.
No.
They called the Saints for defending it and being offside. So, like, God damn it, man. The Eagles have been doing this for years, but that is how they're going to try to get it out of the game. Like, that's the play. Is we're gonna officiate this so strictly that it's almost more dangerous to run it than it's worth, because it's really hard to run that play without jumping. And the Eagles have just gotten away with it for so long that now it's like, well, we gotta, like, people are complaining now, we gotta do it. But they still haven't called it on them. So
no, we said this earlier, just with that game in Seattle, you just had like the check mark box of what exactly could go wrong in a game, and you kind of hit on all of them, except for either a pick six or a scoop and score. That didn't happen, but we had the special teams tragedy.
yes. Lehman Park is saying nice things. Usually he's saying mean things, and that means things are going really bad, because that means he's happy.
Appreciate you Lehman Park, though. Thanks.
Well, see, normally what happens is I'm trying to be positive, and he's like, "Ah, you're an idiot," and then I'm like, "Well, you're being mean." But now we're so negative because we have no choice, and he's just like, "Ah,
welcome to the dark side.
you've only adopted the darkness."
I've lived in it, right? I was born in it.
I was born in it. Molded by it. I can't do the Bane voice, but you get what I'm doing.
Thanks for recognizing Lehman, because like I said, bringing the energy is tough when it's like, crap, I got to talk about this game.
Seriously. All right. One more time.
Yeah.
Is it Ian? I'm sorry. Ian says, is it time for Charlie Smith to see if he can win the job for kicker? Time to fit Stutzman and Riley as well. Poor Spencer. This has really not been his fault. He's played well enough to not lose. I don't think you're going to Charlie. I mean, I think there's a scenario where Blake never figures this out and you go to Charlie. But
the problem is, I could very well see you go to Charlie and guess Groupie's going right to Atlanta.
Yeah, someone will sign Blake. Blake's
right.
a good kicker. That's what's frustrating about it. Is it's like, I would feel a lot differently if I was like, Blake sucks. It's like, get him out of here. Right?
Get him out of here.
It's not like a Jake Moody situation where you're just like, you've never seen him do it. Like, he can make these kicks. I don't know. And that's why I like question Phil, man. Like, something's not right. Like, there's a mentality with this special teams group that just doesn't seem right. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll see. You get later in the year, and the nothing ever gets sorted out with Blake. Like, there's a scenario where you get to the end of the year, he's missed 4 kicks because he just gets on a run, and you're like, wow, like the percentage is still good, but it's the happening 3 times in a row. And again, like, we wouldn't be talking about a miss from 52 the way we are if it wasn't for the first 2 misses. Like, a miss from 52, that happens.
No, now it happens. You're like, oh, same old Groupie,
right? And he did make it he made his 2 kicks that were short. And so, like, at least you have that. But I was more angry about the fact that they kicked it at all.
Right.
You're down
I'm with
30.
you there too.
Stop kicking it. Stop doing that. Unless you have Blake in fantasy, it doesn't make sense. So no, I mean, like, I think late in the year, like, if things go off the rails and this season is lost and you're just like, let's see what we got in the kid. But I also don't think that I think they'd prefer, like, I don't think they're quitting on Charlie, even if they don't use him this year. But I do think they'd prefer to get to training camp next year and allow it to be a kicker competition. And then maybe you do that, because Charlie doesn't have the worst start to training camp I've ever seen. Charlie had the start to training camp that Blake is having to the season.
Yeah.
Like, as negative as you feel about Blake right now, like, like Charlie never had a chance in the kicking competition because that's what he looked like. So
Yeah, I remember it was like Groupie could, have an awful camp from here on out, and he's still done better than what we've seen from Charlie Smith. And now it's funny. We're into the season and people are calling for Charlie Smith to take over.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see some 70-yard field goals, but they're still only worth 3. Now, Stutzman and Riley. Yeah, I think Riley's going to be your starter before long, because I do think as much as this team is going to say, like, we don't pay attention to comp picks, they understand that giving up a 4th-round pick to play Ike Adam in a lost season is not worth it.
Right. Thank you.
We'll see how that goes, but I expect him to take over soon. Stutzman, my question, I think Stutzman is a guy that, like, you're going to get to, when's the trade deadline, right? Week 8? I don't know. But both Werner and DeMario could be potential trade options just because they're not getting it done for you. Well, I mean, and DeMario has been fine in this scheme. Werner, I don't think, is getting it done, even though he was all around the field. He's making a lot of tackles. Like, I need someone who can cover better, and he's just not doing that for me. And so I wouldn't be stunned if he's a guy that you shop, because he's under contract to a reasonable extension. He is a volume tackler. I think he's more of a Mike linebacker, and he just hasn't played that. And he's not going to play that as long as DeMario is here. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two guys gets traded and you kind of start throwing Stutzman or Jalen Ford in there, because I think they just have more range.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by anybody getting moved that wasn't selected by Kellen Moore. It's like you might as well rip the Band-Aid completely off and, thanks for your service. Good luck wherever you end up, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think you want to create the situation where you're just trading guys just to trade. Like you do, like, the veteran leadership needs to be there next year too. So, like, you're not just going to just eject people, because that sets a bad precedent, and, like, the locker room won't respect those decisions, and they're tough to sell. Like, I don't think the locker room respected the JT Gray decision. Like, that's a tough one. Like, you do have to make some decisions that are not going to go over well, but you got to be careful with how you do it. So we'll see. But, like, all these guys are going to have their time. I think Stutzman's going to be a pro. I don't know if he's a starter or a backup. Jalen Ford, same question, but you got to play him to find out. So
yeah, I was going to say, did Ford even get any snaps?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing him at all.
I don't think he got any of the real defense. He may have, and toward the end, I'd have to check. But
yeah,
no, I mean, that's going to be a question. You're going to find out, but that's it. That's all I got. That's the mailbag. We did it. We got through it. Feel good?
Awesome. I'm going to start my 2026 draft research.
Let's do it. Number 1 overall pick, baby. Unfortunately, all the quarterbacks suck. They're talking about some guy named Mendoza I'd never heard of until this weekend. Apparently, he
it's
plays for
crazy
Indiana.
how it works.
John Mateer. Yeah.
Well, the good part is it's like whatever ends up being the top guy, we need him.
I don't know. I thought Tyler Shuck looked great in those 3 snaps.
Oh, I mean, like, I should say whatever position it is, we need him.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
I hear
Here's
you.
the thing, and this is the last thing I'll say. The dream scenario for the Saints to be in is we don't need a quarterback. We feel like we have the guy. We can trade down for a ransom and then draft the top edge rusher, because I am tired. Like, here's the thing, like, we miss on all these edge rushers. One of the reasons you miss on edge rushers is because you're taking them at the end of the first round. If it's Abdul Carter, you're not going to miss because it's Abdul Carter. There's no question. Right. And man, like, it's going to, like, that's a position that I just want a blue chip dude there. And if you just have to draft a quarterback every year, you don't get a chance at those guys. So, not to say, like, I would pass up on a quarterback, but I really want an edge rusher.
Like I'm saying, every single darn position, it's like, please help.
Give me one. Give me one good one. One. Anyway, all right. Who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. We're headed out to Buffalo. I want to say, like, the podcast schedule was weird last week, but we're back on kind of a normal travel schedule, so we should be back.
You don't need to go early and get acclimated to Buffalo?
Yeah, that East Coast time zone, man, it can be tough.
Man.
All right. Who dat? Peace, y'all.
Thanks, Who Dats.